happiness and smiling faces everywhere. We thank you, O Lord, for all the blessings of life. And most of all, we thank you for friends and for families and coming together like this in beauty and loveliness and smiles. Oh God, it is so pleasant to be here this evening. We ask thy blessing on us and on the food which we will now partake of. In Jesus' name, amen.
As long as we're in motion like that.
Anybody here hungry right now? That's the only thing, ladies, that I find wrong with this meal. That I'm not hungry. I can't eat enough. I like to thank you very much for your wonderful bread. You were quite generous in what you provided for us. And just before we bring on one of our speakers, there's not going to be anybody long-winded here tonight, but I think everyone will agree that this is a very joyous occasion. I think we can put up with all the good words that could be said about Mrs. Bag. Now, some of you, we told some people, just in case we missed some, we have a Gideon in honor plan here. So rather than present Mrs. Bags with maybe a bunch of gifts or whatever, we suggest that anyone who would like to do something in her honor to present a few.
Enjoyed myself, and I'd like to say happy birthday, Mrs. Beggs. I remember the first time meeting her. It's an unfortunate situation I had to hear, and that was she was in the hospital. But ever since that time, about 2 years ago, she's steadily improved. And she still carries her wooden frame with her, but she's doing fine. We're so pleased for that. Whenever I see old people, I'm always reminded of my dear old grandfather. And I told some of you before how much in love he was with grandmother. And so just a few weeks ago, I went to visit his gravesite. And so, much to my amazement, he's buried with 2 headstones. So I thought, well, that's rather strange for a man to be thought that much about. I knew grandmother thought a lot about him after he passed away, but they have 2 headstones. But there was a logical explanation for it. With our senior people, and the terminology that we use, because we usually stick labels. But you know, the wonderful thing about it is this: we're living in an age, and they tell us, the specialists tell us, that now more than ever we're going to be surrounded by older people. People are living to be older. What a joy that is. I missed a lot of having my grandparents with me. Although my wife lived in the home with her grandmother, she had a rich heritage. And one of the things about Newfoundland culture was that the home always had a grandmother.
That's your grandmother. Now, then, you can put it in front.
to wish her a very happy birthday, and I hope she lives beyond it. For she's a jolly good lady, for she's a jolly good lady, for she's a jolly good lady. Nobody can deny. Can you deny? Can you deny? For she's a jolly good lady, for she's a jolly good lady, for she's a jolly good lady, which nobody can deny. Hey.
I'd like to just reminisce a little and think back to when I was only 4 years old. That's my first vivid memory of when I was 4. And at that time, we had a new sister. And it was on a beautiful September day. I was only 4, but I knew there was something going on. Mrs. Boyd was off with Mom, and George and I were on the back of the house. I can sort of see these 2 oil barrels over here, and that's where we were making mud cakes and just playing together. That's George White. George and I are about the same age. So then we get the news, well, we got a baby sister. And Dad was gone that day. He was in Grand Falls. So our duty now was to be on the front steps of the store and announce the baby. So we did that, and I can remember being up there in front, and when the old truck came down the road and Dad came by, and first thing we had to say, Dad, you got a new daughter, or we got a new sister. And he said, what? Not another girl. Well, I mean, that was all we could do, but she was here. I mean, and I've often heard Mom say, well, I'd certainly rather have all